Good evening, good evening. How you guys doing today? Oh man, I'm kind of disappointed. I had a buddy finally send me the modified version to the PlayStation 3 to play NCAA and get the playoffs and the new uniforms and having some issues with the service, so I'm not able to do that. Kind of disappointing. But in today's conversation, I saw an article, and I know people are going to get into the title. Why does ESPN hate Florida State? And maybe why does college football hate Florida State? So they had an article come out, and I know this person wrote the article was very thoughtful. And it was talking about the top 40 defenses in college football ever. And so when I first read this, my natural thought is, okay, we're going to have more than 3 or 4 teams on there because we had some really great defenses. And so you kind of get a sense of reading the article, and I'm going to give you some takes I have on this and why I think Florida State was disrespected in this article. And not just disrespected, I thought they were just pretty much shitted on in the article. And I know some of the newer Seminole fans that come on board since Jimbo Fisher, you really can't understand this type of argument I'm having or disagreement. And I know that's one thing that supposedly makes us great as a great nation is we're supposed to be a melting pot and differences shouldn't matter. But we know we live in a society now where people honestly get mad when you choose something they don't like. I live in Alabama. When Alabama loses, things get broke, people get shot. I mean, I live in Birmingham, Alabama. It's just a part of what we go through now. And I hate that. But just because you don't like something means you have to be offended by it and hate it. But my point of this argument is that it's just too much disrespect. And I'm going to, whenever this comes up, I'm going to give you an example. So I went into this excited when I read the article and kind of broke it down. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, this is going to be pretty cool. This is going to be some of the greatest defenses in college football. And this is going to be a good thing. And it just wasn't. It was very, very just uncharacteristic. I think we had only 2 teams on there, and they come in at 41 and 31. And the teams they had in front of them, it almost was sickening. It almost really was just sickening to a point where you couldn't even, I couldn't even tolerate it, couldn't even stand it. So I really don't know what to say. If y'all haven't read the article, it's on ESPN, it's on the app, on the website, it's probably in the magazine, but it's ranking the 50 best defenses in college football history. And I'm going to give you an example. Show you where we are. 41. 2000 Florida State, record 11-2, 7th in the AP. This team is remembered primarily for unfairly eking out a BCS championship bid over Miami, which had won the head-to-head. But that's unfair to Mickey Andrews' defense, which held the Canes 2 touchdowns below their season scoring average and allowing barely 9 points per game otherwise. The Seminoles held Oklahoma's prolific attack to just 13 points and 270 yards in the Orange Bowl. Then you say, okay, well, maybe defenses are better. Now at number 40, we have 1973 Michigan with Bo Schembechler. And they gave up 6.2 points a game, and they were 10-0-1 and finished 6th. So that's not too bad. But then I got to this team right here, and this was like an utter slap in the face by ESPN. Whoever made this article didn't really do no research. They probably just Googled defenses, just put them in any order. But they had the 2016 LSU, which had Les Miles for the first 4 games, Ed Ogeron for 8, and they had 15.8 which is essentially 16 points a game with an 8-4 record and unranked, ahead of a 2000 Florida State defense that, for all intents and purposes, in the regular season finished 11-1, and I can't really say nothing like I can say for the national championship against Tennessee. Oklahoma just beat them. They outplayed them. But other than that, Florida State defense kept them in the game. Chris Winkie was just rattled the entire game. He didn't have Marvin Mendes, the receivers, which to me is one of the better receiver corps in FSU history. They just couldn't catch the ball. And so they lost. But when I look at this and I look at, you have LSU ranked 39th ahead of a 2000 Florida State defense. Okay, and you'll say, well, that's just one time. 37, 1994 Washington. And they gave up 11.3 points per game. 8-4 ahead of a 2000 Florida State. I don't even know how you can make this stuff up. Like, I'm reading this is garbage. 2007 USC, 16 points a game, 11-2, third in the AP ahead of the 2000 Florida State Seminoles. Is that mind-boggling? Mind-boggling. The Noles gave up less points and played in the national championship, and this team gave up 16 points a game and the same record, and you rank them higher. 2017 Clemson comes at 34. At 34 all time with 13.6 points a game, 12-2, fourth in the AP. Yeah. I don't get it, ESPN. I really, truly don't get it. It shocks me when you read this type of article and you see that. Several teams ranked ahead of a very productive and dominant Florida State defense, which boasted, not the Benerick, I forget what Jamal Reynolds won, but he won a major award. Several All-Americans, several All-ACC players, top players, several draft picks off that team, national championship team, and it amazes me that we're in a spot where we see that. Like, I cannot believe that. That was just truly shocking to me when you look at this list and the amount of teams that are in front. And it gets worse. Like right now, I just got a little internet problem, but it does. It gets worse because there are more teams that shouldn't even, their record speaks for itself. They speak for themselves. So it just amazes me that we're having this conversation. And it just shows that how people view Florida State. And I get it. We haven't really won much. We're not the Seminoles of old. We're not even the Seminoles of the national championship years, the recent national championship year and making the playoffs. And we're not those back-to-back 10-3 campaigns. But just the level of disrespect, I really could not believe when I read some of the teams that were ranked in front of us. And then you compound that, like I'm back in it now, and I'm going to give you what they have. This is their list now. And at 31, mind you, this is a Florida State team that finished 10-2. Now, mind you, at this time, they were not mandatory to play 12 games. So they didn't have an ACC championship or they didn't have a playoff. So you didn't have a BCS. So you played, I think, 11 regular season games and a bowl game. And they finished 10-2, fifth in the AP. And this team gave up 8.6 points per game. And I only can put them at 31st all time. That is the most retarded thing I've ever heard. This is Bowden's, this is what they say. Bowden's first top 5 team was good on offense and unbelievable on defense. with all Americans at all three levels of the defense, including defensive tackle and consensus All American Ron Simmons. The Noles held several opponents to 7 or fewer points and held 3 top offenses, including Dan Marino's Pitt, to a combined 54 points as well. So we're knowing this team is great and playing great players, because a lot of people don't know Florida State was independent before they joined the ACC in 1991 and 92. So we know they played great players, great teams. And you give up 8.6 points per game, but the best ESPN, the writer, can rank this team is 31. And then you'll put 2015 Alabama, of course, giving up 15.1 points per game. And they won a national championship that year, I'm guessing, because they were first in AP. But we'll rank them ahead of them. Then we'll come over here, and they had Harvard from 1892 and Florida from 2012, giving up 14.5 points per game. And with 11-2 record, and I'm going to rank them ahead of a 1980 Florida State team that was very dominant. What they got? That's what they got. 11-2 Florida, and an Alabama team will rank past the 10-2 Florida State team. I don't get it. I don't get it. Maybe somebody can help me. 2006 Virginia Tech ranks 22nd. I mean, are you kidding me? The type of garbage that is utterly in front of us is sickening. Like, these teams are irrelevant. These teams couldn't hold up. The 2009 Nebraska was 10-4, and they're ranked ahead of us. That's it. One Miami team, by the way, but that's it. That's it. That's it. No more. I mean, they got so much trash in front of us. It's crazy. Media Guide. This is the last one I got. I do have to get the rest of the updated versions. I haven't been to a game. No, I've been to one, but I haven't been to a home game since I took the kids to see Boise State when it was supposed to be in Jacksonville. So I do have to get the updated Media Guide. But I'm going to go in the Media Guide here, and I'm going to read you guys something. 1980, they did only give up 103 points. They were on there, but that defense should have been higher, and I'll stake my life on that. You also missed 1987, only giving up 163 points. That's a top-ranked defense all time. Should have been on there. 1988, they gave up 172, and they finished third in the AP, 11-1. 87, they finished second in the AP, but they're not going to rank them two teams. No, we're not going to do that. So we'll come over here. You could have put 91, which they gave up 188 points. They finished fourth in the AP. So no, we're not going to do that. 1992, 11-1, 8-0 in conference, finished the AP number 2 ACC champs, gave up 186 points. ESPN, you couldn't put that defense on that, could you? I don't think you could. 1993, 12-1, 8-0 in conference, ranked number 1 AP national champion, 129 points given up, scored 536 points. Only one game a team went over 30 points, and that was the loss to Notre Dame at 31. Maryland scored 20. Florida scored 21 points on them. They had 4 shutouts and only gave up 129 points. This was the start when Mickey Andrews started to get it rolling with dominant defenses. I mean, dominating, physically imposing, fear the spear defenses. But I could not put this one on the list as one of the greatest defenses of all time. And we only gave up 129 points, won a national champion. I don't know. I don't get it. Just my opinion. 94, 95, we was okay. 1996, the greatest defense I've ever seen in my two eyes that I did not be a part of the team. Because the 2000 Minor Tigers in Adamsville, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, was one of the best defenses in the state at the time in 6A football. In my senior year, we had the number one defense and the number one secondary in the state and probably a top 10 defense in the country. But 1996, Florida State defense was so dominant. Nobody wanted to play them. No quarterback, no running backs, no wide receivers. This was a dominating defense. If I'm not mistaken, they had either 67 or 68 sacks in 1 year. This team was dominant up front. Peter Boulware, Renard Wilson, and Andre Wadsworth played in the middle then. He didn't move back to the end. But 1996, they gave up 174 points to 446 they scored. At the time, they did not know they would play Florida in the Sugar Bowl. They thought they were going to the Orange Bowl. Because back then, it was only the Big Ten and the Pac-10 would go to the Rose Bowl, and then the SEC had first rights to the Sugar Bowl. So normally, Florida State would either go to the Orange Bowl first, or then they would either go to the Sugar Bowl. They did not know that. I've already done a video about it. They got out-coached. They got outplayed. Oh, they lost. Should have been an undefeated national championship. But before that, they played Florida on my birthday, November 30th in Tallahassee, Florida. They hit Danny Werfel when he was on the radio talking to the coach. They hit Danny Werfel when he was tying his shoes up. When Danny Werfel got up, when he handed the ball off, they were hitting him. They beat the Gators into submission to stamp and seal the number one ranking. This defense was the most feared defense in college football. A lot of times I hear guys and they'll talk about, Rocky Kalmus and all these other linebackers that were good. And I laugh at them because Mickey Andrews always played next year's defense this year. So when you see guys like Tommy Polley or Brian Allen, Michael Boulware or even Kendall Pope, and these guys put up 100 tackles, that's only with half snap because they're rotating. Florida State went a first team, second team, and third team, and they just was as good as the starter. This is how you develop players and build depth. So some guys may play 160 snaps at Oklahoma. It wasn't that way in Tallahassee. You had to fight, scrap to get major playing time because you always, and I don't say this to be mean, but you build and you breed competitiveness and competition, and you got seniors pushing, freshmen pushing the sophomores and juniors and seniors pushing hard because they don't want to lose playing time. So you develop that sense of competition, that sense of teamwork, and it helps you become better. But it all goes back, and I was going to actually do a video of this, I still am, but 1996, the Noles were the most dominant defense in college football. But we can't put them on the list. 1997, even more dominant. Andre Wadsworth moved from the inside to the outside. Even more dominant, but we're not going to put them on there. 1998, perhaps an even more dominant defense, but we're not going to put them on there. We couldn't put 1998 on there. Just couldn't do it. Crazy, guys. So then I moved down to 99, and we know that was the second half team. Defensively, first half, teams could take advantage of them. Second half, Mickey Andrews made adjustments. That defensive coaching staff, Odell Hagens, all those guys, they made great adjustments, and then they were able to be dominant in the second half, but ultimately it ended in a national championship and undefeated season. Now I drop back down to 2000. 11-2, and this one here has 5th in the AP. So ESPN, again, don't even know what they're talking about because they have them 7th in the AP, but we finished 5th in the AP in 2000, ACC champs, and we gave up 136 points, and we scored 511. And you mean to tell me this defense is only good enough to be ranked 41st out of 50? I mean, you just have to be retarded. You can't be serious when you post articles like this because it makes you look ignorant because you did not do the homework. Because there's no way you're going to tell me any elite Florida State defense, and I'll line this up against the Baltimore Ravens, against the Oakland Raiders, against the doggone Steel Curtain Steelers. When you talk about dominating defenses, Florida State was known for dominating defense. Just amazes me. But I'll put an 8-4 LSU, but I won't put a 9-4 2004 Florida State, which gave up 169 points and finished actually ranked 15th in the AP. No, I can't do that. Can't put them up there. So we turn the page. We're only going to talk about 2018 Alabama, and I'll talk about 2019 LSU. But when it comes to 2013, in just 14 games, not a college football playoff, 12 regular season games, ACC champion, BCS national championship game, I scored 723 points, but my defense only gave up 170 points. Only 170 points. Led the nation in interceptions. But we won't talk about Pitt 41-13, Nevada 62-7. So you mean to tell me when I'm running up and down the field scoring touchdown, my defense is consistently forcing turnovers and getting 3 and outs? We won't talk about none of these scores. 80-14. We beat the Gators in the swamp, and I was at that game. Calvin Benjamin had about 3 or 4 drops, so he had 400 yards. I was at that game. 37-7. But I can't rank this defense right, ESPN, because, it's not 2019 LSU. It's not that great season. Who cares? Florida State plays them in 2013. They beat them by 28 points. Put $1 million on it. Bank it. You heard me say bank it. So I digress. Just my opinion. Read the article. Thought it was pure trash. Commentators only talk about runs Clemson make. They only talk about runs that Alabama make, but they tend to forget Florida State is the grandfather. We are the daddy. We were the first school to really start the dominant run in the 90s. As a matter of fact, we were the team of the decade. Played in the first 3 BCS national championship games. We played in the game in 2000. We were the first national champion of the new century, the new millennium. Won the last BCS national championship. Made it to the college football playoffs. Yeah, we kind of hit hard time. But when I read stuff like this as a Seminole fan, has been a Seminole fan since 1984, and you see this type of stuff, it just irks my soul because it shows me that somebody's not doing their homework, somebody's not reading. Because anytime I do a video, it takes a while because I have to actually research players. You have to go to Google. I have to go to the Florida State websites, different websites, and you have to find statistics and numbers. Now, I agree sometimes it's hard, but Florida State, SID, Sports Information Department does such a good job. And like I say, I read this article when I first saw it, and I've said this. I looked at it and I said, man, okay, top defenses, top 50 defenses in college football history, and to only have 2, and to have those 2 be so on the back end and not appreciate their greatness and just disrespect other great defenses. Because if you go look, you can call Herb Street. You can call Keith Jackson, Chris Fowler. You can call some of the guys that cover games. In 1996, Florida State was knocking quarterbacks out. They're knocking them out. I mean, they're done. Joe Hamilton, you can ask him. You can call Danny Werfel and ask him how hard them ears were ringing when he was getting hit every play, because we play to the echo of the whistle. And I just think that this argument again states ESPN must not like Florida State to pass up on so many great defenses that were truly dominant. And I think it's an insult and a disrespect not only to Bobby Bowden, not only to Mickey Andrews, but to guys like Dion, guys like Derek Brooks, guys like Tay Cody, Terrell Buckley, Antonio Camardi, Ernie Sims, Corey Simon, Peter Boulware, Michael Boulware. I think it's just such a disrespect to them guys. Darnell Dockett, all those players, Brian Allen, Tommy Polley, Bradley Jennings, some of those guys, Lamont Green, some of those guys that Roland Seymour, that really put in work and competed every day, went to school, went to class, did what they needed to do, graduated and competed and helped make Florida State what it was. And to the fans who lived in such a wonderful time, to be just disrespected and basically essentially shitted on by this article, I had to do a video on it. I was already working on a video of the top 10 Florida State defenses at all time, and there's a number of things you have to look at. You have to look at the time they played in, what they were playing for, interceptions, tackles, sacks, how dominant they were, and how they kind of changed what an offense liked to do. So I was actually working on that video, and so I just wanted to put this video out and say I'm very disappointed in ESPN. You guys have a great afternoon, a great day. Go Noles. I'll have some other stuff up in a little bit, but I just had to share my thoughts on the kind of way this article portrayed us as a university, as a school, as a fan, as somebody that cares about the program. It definitely bothered me. So I hope y'all have, like I said, a great day. Go Noles. I'll have some other stuff posted in a little bit.